Alright, welcome back to another episode of Dave Makes Food. It's time for another hot pot review, and this time we're at Chine Legendary Hot Pot and Noodles. I'm gonna be honest, I've crossed off all the hot pot restaurants I really wanted to eat at, and now we're kind of just going through what are probably the less good ones, but I'm gonna keep an open mind. As you can see by these inspiring quotes, we're definitely in the nice part of town, so I'm expecting some pretty good things from Chine Legendary Hot Pot and Noodles. They were offering some pretty reasonable priced combo meals, and I ordered the hot pot option. Everything came really quickly, so I went to make my dipping sauce. And maybe you can't see it very well, but there were definitely some fruit flies around the sauce station. Not the end of the world, but also not great to see. Anyways, the hot pot set came with sliced beef. There was a choice of protein, and beef cost $2 extra, I think. It also came with a couple pieces of spinach and cabbage. They were also pretty soft, definitely not the freshest spinach or cabbage I've ever been served. Some vermicelli noodles, fresh tofu, a couple potato slices, and a lot of mushrooms, which was nice. It also came with some fried tofu, fish balls, and a couple crab sticks. And I also picked up this seaweed salad that was in the sauce station, but I probably shouldn't have. The temperature was a bit funny. It wasn't cold, it was like slightly lower than room temperature, which made it kind of unsettling to eat, but I ate it anyways. Everything looked acceptable. The beef actually looked pretty good, nicely cut and thinly sliced. I was hoping the broth here would be pretty good, but it turned out the broth wasn't great. It was pretty watery, as you can see, and it was pretty bland with a slight tomato flavor. And it also had this metallic taste, like someone scratched the pot and then poured the soup in. This was for sure my least favorite tomato broth since beginning these ratings. I've been to China a couple times before and don't recall these problems, but on this particular visit, the broth was really not good. I tried pouring some of my dipping sauce into the broth, hoping it would taste better. The combo set also apparently came with a couple of fruit flies, which we can see in stunning 120 frame per second 4K resolution slow motion thanks to my new GoPro. Again, not the end of the world, but definitely not improving my dining experience at Chine. But we should try to look at some of the positives here. Not everything was bad. The fresh and frozen tofu both tasted pretty good. The fish balls were alright, about as basic as they come, very dense, but they tasted pretty good with my favorite dipping sauce. And it had been a while since I had woodier mushrooms at a hot pot, so those were nice. They don't really have a flavor, but they have a nice crunchy texture that I enjoy. I decided to make the last ingredients into a nice noodle soup bowl. This definitely wasn't my favorite meal ever, but how does Chine compare to the other hot pot restaurants in Toronto using our rating system? Well, let's start off with the broth, and as you can see, it looks extremely watery, and it was. There really wasn't much flavor, and on top of that, the most noticeable flavor was that of metal. It kind of tasted like someone dropped a couple pennies into the soup. Without the metallic taste, I would probably give this broth about a 5.5, but with it, Chine is going to get a 2.5 for broth, unfortunately. This is the first failing grade I've given any hot pot restaurant in any criteria. And with regard to ingredient quality, the sliced beef was actually pretty good, but everything else was about average. The greens were below average in freshness, and they really give you a small amount here, which is unfortunate. As for the sauce and snack bar, they had all the main ingredients to make any dipping sauce you really wanted, but all they offered for side dishes was this subpar seaweed salad. Service was probably the highlight of the meal, which is never really what you're looking for when you go to Chinatown, but all the food came fast and the servers were always available for request. Chine gets an 8.6 for service. And lastly, this meal would have been decent value had it not been for the off-tasting broth. The meal set with beef and spicy tomato broth came to about $21 before tax and tip, which is pretty reasonable. Dahu Hot Pot is the closest in price at $21.99 for their meal set, but I would definitely choose to eat there if given the option. Overall, the meal was edible thanks to the strongly flavored dipping sauce and the average quality ingredients. However, this was my least favorite hot pot experience in recent memory. Anyways, that's my review of Chine Legendary Hot Pot and Noodles. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really looking forward to rating anything lower than this, but I'm gonna try out a few more to make sure I've really found the best hot pot restaurant in Toronto. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for the next hot pot review.